Forget gurus. Forget anyone claiming to be an online business expert without going through the challenges of entrepreneurship themselves. The Real Money, Real Business podcast is here to prove the best insights in online business comes from your fellow online business builders. We dig into stories of entrepreneurs selling their business on the Empire Flippers marketplace so that you can learn how they made their business profitable, how they overcame obstacles, and what lessons they learned in their online journey. If you want to take your business and your knowledge to the next level, you've come to the right podcast. Let's get started.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Real Money, Real Business podcast. I'm Lauren, and today we have Granger on the show, who's selling a dropshipping business on the Empire Flippers marketplace. Hey Granger, welcome to the show. How's your day going so far?
Hey Lauren, thanks for having me. It's going well, and happy to be here.
Fantastic. Really excited to get started with this conversation. But before we do, I'm going to give the listeners a brief overview of your business just to clue them in as to what we're talking about. As I mentioned, this is a dropshipping business. It was created in September 2021, and it's in the home niche. The average revenue for the business is $191,300 per month, and it makes an average of $13,295 per month in net profit. The assets included with the business are a Shopify account, a primary domain and all site content and files, supplier relationships, and an email list with 1,900 subscribers. For everyone listening, you can visit empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 68833 to learn more about this business. Or you can unlock this listing to start your due diligence if you're interested in purchasing this asset. So with that out of the way, let's dive into the interview. Granger, can you fill us in on your background in starting and running online businesses?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been running online businesses for about 8 years, and I've been doing it full time for the last 3 years. So in the past, I kind of got started with Amazon FBA and content sites, but lately over the past 2 or 3 years, I've narrowed my focus down to e-commerce.
Fantastic. Well, it certainly sounds like you've got a lot of experience under your belt. What attracted you to the Shopify and dropshipping business models?
Yeah, so I actually used to own a content site in the same niche as this business, and the underlying products were higher ticket items. And so just knowing that, and with my knowledge kind of the niche, I figured it would be a good candidate for maybe a dropshipping store. And it turned out that it was. And then Shopify in particular is just a really simple and straightforward platform. And there are a lot of great built-in sort of features that make it easy to get up and running with a dropshipping store pretty quickly, and just good features for ongoing running the business as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Shopify definitely seems like the best platform when it comes to dropshipping with all of those features available, as you said. I know you said that the inspiration for this business came from that content site that you were running. What inspired you to think that these products would make such a good business?
Yeah, so the type of products that a lot of people use in their home, and while there is some seasonality to it, they are evergreen in the sense that I don't see demand for these products going away anytime soon. And so that was kind of a good underlying thing. And then I have personal interest in the niche as well and the products I use at home. And so, kind of those things combined were what got me into it.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. The business has grown so much, about 1.5 years since you started it. It's had a fantastic growth trajectory. What are the reasons that you've decided to exit the business now?
As we've kind of been talking about, between the content site and this business, I've been in this niche for over 5 years. And while it's one that I do enjoy on a personal level, I am starting to feel a little bit of burnout in the niche. And typically when that happens, just in my experience, it's a good idea to look to move on. And then the business is also kind of in this moment where it's experienced a lot of growth, particularly in the last 3 or 4 months. And so that's something that I feel like is a good time where, I can kind of exit and pass it along to somebody where there's still a little bit of meat on the bone, and it'll be a good sort of baked in growth and hopefully good returns for a buyer that can come in and take over.
Yeah, absolutely. Following on from that train of thought, you mentioned that there's some meat that buyers can really sink their teeth into. What do you see as the major growth opportunities for buyers with this business?
The branding of the overall business is broad, I would say. And then the actual products that I have chosen to focus on are sort of a sub niche within the branding of the store, if that makes sense. And so I think that there's a lot of opportunity just to continue selling the products that have done well for this business, but also sort of expanding into other sub niches or product verticals that would fit within the branding of the store.
Yeah, those are some great opportunities that can really scale the business to whole new heights. Looking back over your journey with the business, what stand out as your greatest wins or success stories that you've had while running the business?
Yeah, so after sort of at the end of 2022, I did a deep dive kind of into the data that we'd gathered throughout the year in the Google Ads account and really made some structural improvements in the ads account that have paid off quite a bit. I think the business really took a step forward in January, and I believe that that was a direct result of sort of this analysis and period of work and improvement to the ads account that I did at the end of the year last year. And so that was really rewarding to sort of see a lot of those efforts pay off in a big way.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the benefits of tracking that data is you can really see those improvements and understand why they'd come about as well. What would you say were your biggest setbacks or challenges that you had to overcome?
Yeah, so back at the very beginning of the store, I chose a Shopify theme that turned out to be a little bit outdated and kind of buggy. And so you may notice for any of the listeners who look at the listing in the P&L, last May and June were negative months as far as earnings go. And a lot of that had to do with sort of technical issues that arose out of using this other Shopify theme. And so at the end of May and early June, I migrated the store to a new Shopify theme. And it was disruptive at the time, but it's definitely been the right decision. And the new Shopify theme has been working well. And I think the store looks good and obviously it's converting.
Yeah, it's great that you were able to bounce back from that. It's an unfortunate setback. When it comes to driving traffic to your store, are you using SEO or social media marketing to drive traffic to your products?
I'm not using any social media marketing, but I do emphasize SEO. So just with my background, having run content sites, I know and value the importance of SEO. And I felt like that was a great way to sort of differentiate myself from competitors who are simply drop shipping and exclusively driving traffic through ads. So, and over the past couple of months, the store has been getting about 3,000 users per month from organic sources. And just with the high ticket nature of the items that we're selling, that's turned out to be a really positive thing and a nice differentiator compared to some of the competition.
Yeah, I think it's important to differentiate yourself. And it's great that you were able to find a way to do that. I noticed that there is an email list included in the assets. Do you communicate with that email list regularly or send them any campaigns?
Most of the email captures come from pop-ups on the store that are trying to incentivize customers to give their email and get a coupon code for their first purchase. I'm not sending any broadcasts or any sort of traditional newsletter. Basically, when somebody signs up, they get sent a coupon code, and then there's a very simple drip campaign that follows. There's 2 follow-up emails that come the next 2 days, and then 45 days from their initial sign up, they get an email with a flash sale that offers a slightly higher discount than their initial coupon code. And so that's really the extent of the marketing to the email list. And it's worked well, even though it's simple. But yeah, I think there's probably some more opportunity there for someone as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Granger, let's take a look at the sort of logistics side of your business now. How many suppliers do you have and where are they based?
There are 12 suppliers. All of them are based in the USA. Some of the suppliers are brands themselves, so working directly with the brand. And then others are distributors. And so the distributors will give us access to a dozen brands or a handful of brands at least. Yeah. But all of the supplier relationships are in the USA, and there are about 12 of them.
Fantastic. Yeah, I think having US-based suppliers, I'm sure that also helps with your fulfillment times as well. How long does it normally take to fulfill your orders?
So I've got a little bit of data on this. So year to date, and this is basically the first 4 months of 2023, about 55% of our orders fulfill within 3 business days. About 75% of orders fulfill within 5 business days, and about 90% of orders fulfill within 10 business days. So yeah, relative to a lot of dropshipping stores, I think those numbers are pretty strong. And then we also try to do a good job of, if a customer orders an item that's back ordered, the team will reach out to them right away and, let them know so that there's not this friction with customers of ordering something and they don't hear from us for a few weeks.
Yeah, certainly. I think those fulfillment times are really good, as you say, compared to other dropshipping businesses, which is another great selling point for your business. How often are you in contact with your suppliers?
With the better selling suppliers, we're in contact on a daily basis. Really, the team is getting tracking information for orders, things like that. And then really, other than that, it's kind of checking in with everybody on inventory levels. Some of the suppliers have an online portal where you can check inventory, and some of them it's a little bit more manual. So yeah, some of the suppliers, there's touch points every day, and others it's once a week, and others maybe once a month.
Fantastic. Yeah, it sounds like you have a good relationship with your suppliers as well, which is definitely a wonderful thing in a business like this. What does a typical work week look like for you when running this business? How hands-on is it? And what sort of tasks take up the majority of your time?
As far as the hands-on nature goes, probably I'm spending, I would say, 8 to 10 hours a week just reviewing the customer support team's work. So right now the process, basically they create a purchase order when a customer orders something and they make it, and I just review it to have a second set of eyes on it. Or if we need to create a shipment, order freight for a shipment, I review their work on things like that. And then if they need to escalate something to me, I'm sort of just available on chat throughout the week. And that typically ends up being an hour or two a day. And then beyond that, it's discretionary projects that I'm working on, whether it's SEO strategy or maybe an improvement to the website or something like that. So that's probably another 5 hours a week for a total of about 15.
Yeah, that's great. It sounds like you've delegated really well and made a nicely passive business. You mentioned that you have customer support contractors. Are they the only sort of employees or freelancers that you work with?
Yeah, so there's 2 customer support representatives who they're both located in the Philippines, but they do night shifts. So they're on the phones and on the email during normal business hours in the US. And so, yeah, they answer emails, inbound chats, inbound phone calls. So it's a little bit of sales work and then customer support stuff. Like on occasion, a shipment will show up damaged. And so they help facilitate and talk to the customer and talk to the supplier and get replacement items sent out and things like that. They kind of keep the plate spinning and keep things moving along.
Fantastic. Yeah. And will that team be available for the buyer to use, or will they be leaving the business with you?
So one of them is available. The other one is a key contractor on another business that I have. So that second contractor, I would definitely be open to continuing on kind of during the first few months to help with the transition. But longer term, I would prefer for one of the contractors to sort of stay with me. But again, if that's a stumbling point for a buyer, I'm definitely open to discuss further.
Fantastic. Well, speaking of the transition, what do you think the biggest challenge will be for a buyer taking over this business?
I would say if a buyer was not familiar themselves with Google Ads or just PPC ads, Google and Microsoft specifically, there would maybe be a little bit of a learning curve. Not so much in the sense of the ads account isn't particularly active in the sense that I'm not going in there every day and making changes. But I think it would be important to have some experience with that just to be able to troubleshoot, if issues come up or if the environment changes. So yeah, I think there would be a little bit of learning curve there if a buyer wasn't familiar with running ads. And then other than that, I think on a short-term basis, the niche isn't particularly difficult. The products are simple and I think common items that most people in the US have been exposed to. But at the same time, there are a couple of sort of technical questions that you can always get help from suppliers on, but it's definitely better to have at least some kind of familiarity with the products, I would say.
Yeah, it certainly sounds like it. How much support are you willing to offer the buyer to sort of ease them into the business and get them familiar with those ad campaigns and the platform itself?
Yeah, so for 30 days, I'd be happy to do kind of whatever support is needed, whether it's calls, email, or chat. And then beyond that, I'd be happy to do an additional 30 days email and chat support. I'm happy to do calls on more of a one-off basis. Yeah, that's kind of generally what I'm thinking. And again, if that's something that is an area of concern for a buyer, I'm happy to talk about it further. But I do think that sort of 30 days of phone, email, and chat, and then an additional 30 of email and chat should definitely be enough to get a buyer up to speed on the business.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree, especially if the buyer is familiar with Shopify. When it comes down to negotiating the actual sale, would you be open to something like an earn-out agreement?
Yes, I would. I mean, look, obviously, more cash at closing is all things equal. That offer will be prioritized higher. But yeah, just with the nature of dropshipping businesses, I totally get it. And I would be open to an earn-out.
Fantastic. And would you commit to a non-compete agreement?
I would. So I do run other e-commerce businesses. So the non-compete would just need to be narrowly tailored to address the specific niche that this business is in. But yes, I would be happy to sign a non-compete that says I'm not going to, directly compete with this business.
Wonderful. Well, Granger, as you've mentioned, you have other e-commerce businesses as well as various content sites. So you certainly know the industry very well. For any entrepreneurs who are listening in that would like to buy a business of their own and get started in this industry, what advice would you give them that you wish you knew when you first started?
The piece of advice that I wish I would have had earlier on in my journey of running online businesses was to make a habit of taking chips off the table in terms of earnings. And so I built a lot of really good businesses from the beginning, sort of my journey, but I had this mindset that I needed to reinvest everything back into each business versus, taking some chips off the table and investing in other types of assets that were more passive for me. And that's only something that I've really gotten better about and gotten more disciplined about here in the past couple of years. And so, yeah, that would be a piece of advice. And this business in particular that we're talking about, the dropshipping model is great for that because it cash flows so well. Whenever a customer places an order, you get paid, and then later you pay the supplier invoice. And so it's kind of a really nice asset in that sense for what, I was just talking about, where it becomes, or it's a little bit easier, I would say, compared to some other asset classes to take some of your earnings off the table without having to recommit to buying another batch of inventory or whatnot.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's really great advice. It is so easy to become all consumed by these businesses and reinvest everything back into them, as you said. But it is important to diversify your assets and your investments because online businesses inherently come with some risk. So the more diversified you are, the safer you are. That leads us into the final question of the interview. Granger, if you had to put yourself into the shoes of a buyer, why do you think your business is a business worth buying?
Yeah, so I think it's just a strong asset in an evergreen niche that cash flows really nicely. And it kind of has an established, profitable advertising system. And then a lot of SEO work has been done already. And so there's already a leg up on a lot of the competition in the niche with this asset. And yeah, beyond that, I still think that there's room to grow with this business by, what we mentioned earlier, a buyer could come in and add other product lines underneath the brand. And so, yeah, all those things combined, I think makes it an attractive asset and a business that's definitely worth buying.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a great asset. Is there any other details that you'd like to share with our listeners about your business that I might have missed?
I don't think so. I think we covered it. And yeah, for any listener that unlocks the listing on Empire Flippers, I've made myself available for one-on-one calls as well if there's anything that somebody's heard that they want to ask about or follow up on.
Fantastic. Well, Granger, thank you so much for coming onto the show and sharing more details about your business and yourself. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you, Lauren.
All right, everyone, thanks for listening. To learn more and see if this listing has already been sold, head over to empireflippers.com/marketplace and search for listing number 68833. If you're watching this on YouTube, click the link in the description to go straight to the listing. Once you've unlocked this listing, you'll be given everything you need to know about this business. So until next time, enjoy your digital journey.